Young Professional Think Deep program. It's a collaboration from Ithacus and Isocarp. They have been doing programs for young professional planners. Ithacus was noticing that there was something missing, and that was the awareness of the underground space. They collaborated and launched a new program, which was the Young Professional Think Deep program.
We find that the young professionals are very much interested in pushing the idea of underground space as well. So this all comes together, and I think it's a very powerful thing.
It's specifically targeted at the urban planners and architects and designers who are not usually thinking deep, who are not usually thinking of life below the surface or urban development below the surface. And also we want to widen the scope of young engineers and tunneling engineers, not just looking at the tunnel infrastructure as an aim in itself, but more about the general urban context. And we approach cities normally. It could also be private institutions or organizations that are interested in having young professionals work on an urban issue involving underground space. Usually under the age of 35 is more or less the sort of upper limit age-wise. And then they come together working on a specific case in a city. We had a recent one in Glasgow. It was our first one and it was a huge success.
They had an area in the city which was a bit left behind due to one industry that collapsed, and therefore that area was not being used anymore. So what we did in 5 teams, 1 week long, we discussed and found new ideas for that area to make it great and living again. We worked together in Glasgow with 25 professionals. 5 of them were locals from the city council. A few of them were urban planners as well. Then we had 10 civil engineers, geologists. Then we had 10 urban planners.
So you can see that this group was really a multidisciplinary group and also very multicultural group. People from Europe, but also other continents, and a lot of different cultures working together. So the first step was to do the problem statement, to define the needs. In the next step, it was about the definition of the solution. For example, it could be to do a transport system, a building, to do public spaces, to create urban networks, and then in the last step, it's how actually build this solution. Will we need like a TBM? Will we need people to build it, machines, tools, etc., etc.?
A Young Think Deep program is a great opportunity for cities to have an economically interesting startup for ideas.
The city gets a finished product in the form of a presentation and a report. Our goal is to do this for at least 4 or 5 cities over the next 1 to 2 years, and publish a final report in the same style as the Think Deep book that we did.
The thinking needs to evolve to how can we create a new urban fabric, how can we actually integrate the underground space into the above space, if you like. And this is where urban planning plays a very important role.
What is important to us about this program is not just creating excitement and interest in the subject of underground space, but really taking it to the next level of creating methodologies that planners and young professionals, young engineers can use, and professionals generally in the industry, because we're lacking standards on all fronts. And we have found when we get these young professionals together, it's very enriching for all of them in the way they tackle problems, in the way, engineers are usually immediately solution driven and planners are more like, what's at stake here, what's the wider picture, what's the wider context. Architects are very interested in the interface, in the urban design of such schemes. So we think it's very potent to bring this together, and it underscores our message in Ithacus to not think in silos, to really create multifunctional underground infrastructure for the future.
There's much more in the underground. There's much more potential than I think a lot of people are aware of today. So I think when the younger generation picks that up and tries to think about new ways to use the subsurface, that can be a really interesting and good thing for the world.